Bolavinak everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for those who have been avid listeners and viewers of my channel. Thank you for always coming back and referring to my videos. For those of you who are here for the first time, I discuss Year 12 and Year 13 English notes. And today, as per the title of my video, I will be discussing on Sunday Sadness, which is one of the four poems that we will be doing in Year 13. So, Sunday Sadness, under the common theme of globalization, all poems are written by the same poet. So we've already discussed the poem in class. So now I will just go straight to discussing the notes. So without further ado, let's start with the discussion. All right, the subject of the poem, or you can all remember for poetry, there are different jargons that we use. There's no synopsis or there's no plot. So for us in poetry, we discuss the subject of the poem or the main idea. So the subject of the poem, it portrays the idea of tradition versus modern life. This was so obvious in everything that was told in the poem. Now, I had discussed in my class how, for me, I thought it was a very sarcastic poem, if you read between the lines. And that was one of the main things why I thought the poem was both amusing and kind of sad. Konai Halitaman has a way with words and how she portrays the clashing of cultures and how it has made us totally different to what we were before as Pacific Islanders, and how our ancestors are weeping if they could see us now. So, first of all, it portrays the idea of tradition versus modern life. Next, it depicts or shows how the natives had quickly adapted, or the adaptation of Western culture. So we have made the colonizers' culture our culture as well. Now, the people have fertile land, but they are too lazy to grow their own food. How ironic. Hence, heavily dependent on imported food such as mutton flaps, tinned fish, and bread, rather than growing, hunting, and fishing for one's own self. Now, I had discussed in class how it is really ironic how you see some, especially in isolated villages, where they have certain days where they take their produces to the market to be sold. So on that day, they take dalo, they take fish and such fresh, beautiful, and nutritious food. And when they have sold it all to the middleman and to all the customers in the cities, what do? They take that same money and they go and buy tin fish. They go and buy tavioka, or they go and buy something that is readily available out in their own backyard because they have become lazy. Now, the poem also demonstrates the dying culture of the natives. Sad, but it is true. Okay, most of the time in our exams, the question will come, how is the title relevant to the poem? So this is going to be your answer to that. Remember, in poetry essays, it is compulsory that there are to be 4 quotations. So for each poem, you need to memorize 2 quotes, but it has to make sense to your point. Right? So if you look at my earlier videos when I discuss on poetry essays, they have to make sense. Every quote that you have, whether it be prose or drama or poetry, the point has to go with your quotation and vice versa. So Sunday to many people is a day for relaxation, whereby they do very little work and spend most of their time with their family or friends. Now, Sunday Sadness portrays the sad day for Pacific Islanders. Now, remember, Sunday is a day of rest if you're a Christian, and this is, ironically, I think the whole point of my video is irony. Now, if you know, if irony is a figure of speech, and what makes it ironic is Sunday is meant to be a day of rest in the Christian weekly calendar. However, for Pacific Islanders, that is the day where we do the most work. So we start going to church from early morning, then you have midday, then you have to prepare lunch. After that, you have afternoon service. Usually after that service, you have a cell gathering or you have some kind of meeting. So instead of it being a day of rest, that is usually the busiest day of the week. So in a sense, we are trying to portray something that is contradictory of what the colonizers had brought, and also like the beginning of the poem, the odor of the umu, where it's meant to be fragrant, it stinks because that symbolizes our culture. Something that is supposed to be fragrant has become full of stench because we are not looking after our culture. All right, themes. Themes are very important because they also portray the lessons learned and the moral values. So the theme for our poem was culture change is inevitable. Now, if you know what is the meaning of inevitable, you've learned it so many times from last year, the years before. Inevitable means it cannot change. So things that you can think of that will never change can be death. Everyone will die one day. Another one is your age. We all will age a year older. Okay, time. We cannot turn back time. So, just like those things that are inevitable, culture change is inevitable. Now, with the time, people also change. So, as time goes by, all of us change. Western values have also become more appealing to the natives since they are heavily relying on imported foods. Now, if you are doing one of the project themes called Healthy Eating Lifestyle, you will know that most of the NCDs, the causes are unhealthy eating habits or unhealthy lifestyle choices. We usually do this because of imported foods. Okay, it's convenient, it's easily accessible. So those things you have to take into account. Next theme we have is culture loss. Now, identity loss due to a vast change in the lifestyle of the people. Culture loss is experienced. Now, the culture is dying out due to people's own actions. So what we do today is due to westernization, but it is also eradicating or slowly making our culture extinct. So let's look verses. What was traditional now is Western. So what we used to have an active life. From early morning, we would wake up, go to the farm. We would go and fish. Now it's very lazy, okay, because of convenience. We don't have to go to the farm. We don't have to go look for firewood. We have gas stoves. We have kerosene stoves. So we have a lazy life. Before there was hunting, gathering, fishing. Now we rely on imported food. Now you must be thinking imported food. What are some examples? One main example of imported food is the corn mutton. Okay, some tin fish. Those things, even the things that we used to make noodles, even though it's made locally, some of the ingredients is imported or it's brought in from overseas. There was a fresh supply of food. Now we use tin food that has 1,000 times damaging to our bodies because it has a lot of preservatives, which are chemicals, and also things that they are stored in. They're stored in metal, in tin, whereas our fresh supply of food, it's there readily available out in our environment. Now the abundance in supply, meaning there was so many, but now it is limited because we're not looking after our environment. We're not thinking about sustainability. Then we had ancestral skill utilized. Now we are wasting our traditional skills. So, for example, ancestral skill that was utilized was the hunting, was the making of boats, was carving. Even when you think about food that was made, it was very healthy. Now we use a lot of oil because we are wasting our traditional skill, or we refuse to learn a new traditional skill. Now, people in societies are moving towards globalization through interaction and integration for social reasons. Now, people are getting educated. Now, this is another theme. So, we are getting more literate. From being illiterate, meaning not being able to read and write, we're becoming literate. So, maybe one of the reasons for adapting to Western culture or ways of living, they are not involving in traditional activities such as farming on Sundays. So those are all examples of why we are rather using Western knowledge, Western skills rather than traditional, because we are getting more educated. Another is advancement in information technology. So in particular, we have dramatically transformed economic life. Information technology have given all sorts of individuals economic actions consumers, investors, businesses valuable news tools for identifying and pursuing economic opportunities, including faster and more informed analysis of economic trends and lifestyles. So, this is all because of digitization of everything and technology. Everyone wants the latest phone. Everyone wants the latest model. Everyone wants a smart TV, etc. So that is keeping up with information and the advancement that makes us slowly lose our traditional culture. Okay, how are the above relevant to our society? Okay, now the culture loss, Western culture is more appealing to people. Okay, so this, please, I want you to always remember this. Many people are many people are opting for Western culture because they find it more attractive. That's what it means. All right. So, for example, how would you feel if you were to go on a wooden boat from Lotoka Wharf to the Yasawas? Okay, many people or anyone would rather a fiber boat or a one that has an engine. When you think about our old traditional boats like the Nrua, if it had to take you from Lotoka Wharf to the Asawas, obviously, one, we do not have skilled workers. There would be a lot of complications along the way because not skilled workers, but skilled fishermen or voyagers in order for them to maneuver the boat. So we would find Western culture more appealing. Now, traditional values are dying out, resulting in losing their own culture, hence identity. Adaptation of Western culture since people demand for material goods has increased. There is a decline in subsistence farming. This results in people wasting resources and ancestral skills they had. So we would rather buy our produce rather than planting and selling or even using it for our own home. So like backyard gardening. No, hardly do you see it in city areas or urban areas, right? So those are how the above is relevant to our society. All right, so now we'll move on to style. So style is always important for our notes discussion. They are a very easy score when it comes to your exam questions. So students usually shy away from attempting style. Please never do that. Your style is a very scoring section. So in our Sunday sadness, we have the use of emotive words. So you have futile or pointless, empty, change, welcoming, tearless, reflects on dying culture or the loss of culture. Now these words also shows that people are adapting to new ways of living, which is westernization, thus adopting to Western values. So emotive words, words that deal with your emotion. Now moving on, we have personification. What are personification, students? Okay, personification are using human-like qualities to non-human things. So like the dying bread, stare from mamas. Now these makes the poem sound more realistic and interesting. The readers are able to imagine and picture what is happening in the poem. So this is also the way for Dr. Thayman to try and make you visualize about what is the reality of our society right now. Next, we have symbolism. Symbolism was very, very evident in our poem. It was seen everywhere. So every single word that was used was not just put willy-nilly. They were put there for a reason. So for example, umu. Okay, now umu is a Tongan traditional oven. For us in Fiji, we call it a lovo. All right. So and then you have the dying fire. When I taught this in class today with my year 13, and we discussed on the year 10 poem, Island Fire. Now, year 10 poem, you would remember that the fire was a symbolism for our culture, but it is dying because of westernization. So we can see some kind of commonality. It's done, both poems were written by the same poet. So Konai Thayman, she would always like to remind us, she uses symbols in her writing. So dying fire, these are the coals smoking. Now remember, coals are the black substance that is left after the embers or the fire has been lit. So once it has died down, you have the black like small rocks, like I'm just trying to make you visualize something that you might just hear as English words, and if you are a native speaker, it would come easily to you. But if you're not, then that is coals, the black things that is left when there's fire. And it is the killing of our own culture through our own actions. So we are the ones that have lit the fire, and that fire is not of culture, but it is of westernization. We have lit our traditional goods, traditional culture, traditional knowledge down to the ground. So it's burning down to the ground, and we need to revive it. All right, and the second last, the good, rich island earth, even though we have enough resources, it is not fully utilized, which is sad, but true. Look around you. If you are here in Fiji, where I live here in Lautoka, we look to the mountains. There's so many mountains that are untouched, some that are touched, but they are being raised to the ground to cater to businesses, hence globalization. But we need to use our land for the utilization of our well-being, sustainability. So us as year 13 students or year 12, if you are interested and you're watching this, we need to think global but act local. Think along those ways. Okay, next one is shrunken, which is the high cost of living and starvation. So we are starving ourselves, trying to afford flour and rice, or working ourselves to death, trying to afford all these imported food, when all we can do to live happily ever after is going back to the village, learning a skill where we can plant our own food and or go hunting, gathering, and that we will be healthy and live longer. So I hope after you've read the poem and you've discussed the notes with your friends, and the notes that your teacher might be different or similar to mine. So please, or you can always comment down below if you have a certain question or a certain idea that you would like me to discuss further. Remember, I might not be posting as much as I should. I'm trying very hard, but also know that I'm also a full-time teacher and a mother, so I have certain things to do. So I will try to get back to you in writing. You can either email me. My email will be written down below. And I hope you enjoyed my discussion on Sunday Sadness. So I wish you all the best with your revision. If you are watching this just before your exams, all the best. You've got it. Remember, you know the skill, you know the content. All you need to do is apply. And nothing is impossible if you put your mind to it. So I wish you all the best, and continue to watch my other videos on my page. Please like and subscribe so I can go back to these videos and see that you are interested, and I'll continue to upload more. All right, thank you, and once again, all the best. Vinaka wakaleo.